Hi everyone, welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Mina Crichton. Today I will be doing a new episode, continuing from the others with what I have actually got on my heart to actually speak about today. So I hope you've been enjoying my last couple of video clips on relationship scam. And that I've actually been denouncing all the public deception involving Henry Cavill and myself, and that hasn't changed. Henry is actually the original in my case, and in his case too. Eventually, that's going to all be no doubt it's going to be dealt with, and he'll get his own justice. But what I've gone through historically is quite clear that relationship scams have been used since I was working for my employer. So obviously I've been a lockout case for a very long time, and that hasn't changed, and it's continuous. What I didn't realize in the early years that my life was actually a global game. Hence is the reason why there's very serious home invasion in my private life, and with everything that I've gone through while I was working for my employer, with the criminal harassment and the unlawful harassment around the building, and everything that I suffered while I was working for my employer, the Ministry of Justice. So this is just a quick introduction, and yeah, this is me in the flesh saying hi to you. So I'll keep the evidence real, and we'll continue to oppose the public deception involving Natalie Visciso and Amy Denton and all the women that I've actually denounced, Moana, but I'm actually the victim in the case. So it's the offenders are actually the people that are actually breaking the law, but it has been a like more of a Commonwealth global game involving cultures and states and religions and countries pairing up as a group, pairing up to help each other, and in this case, against the originals. So the originals are the people in my private life, going back to 2010, and when I was actually going to church, and that's how you undo an actual conspiracy. So it is a historical conspiracy involving several perpetrators just from a single breach, and I've actually been very consistent with my evidence in court. So it's basically me bringing up the facts to life. So I will just continue with the usual introductions using my posts. I hope you're all finding that very beneficial. So if you're into criminology, or if you don't know much about your legal rights and laws, my YouTube channel is actually dedicated to trafficking victims. I didn't know myself I was being actually trafficked while I was working for my employer. However, that is the case. That is what the actual evidence shows on my medical records and on everything to do with my personal property, and meaning to do with me as the individual. Okay, so on my YouTube channel, it's all about myself, my personal property. It's my ideas and my identity. It's about my entity as a human being and my testimony. So that makes it my property, because it's my life, and everything I'm talking about real life facts involving my existence on earth. So it has to do with my professional and my private life. So yeah, So if you're into criminology, like I mentioned before, my case is actually pretty good for if you're into law, like criminal law or criminal anything. My case is what would be the best case scenario, because it's a personal case and I'm actually the victim of crimes. I'm also litigating my case. I'm the paralegal. I do all the legal administration. I do all the legal research. And yeah, I'm basically representing myself, and I also do the legal litigation of my own case in court. So I do have that background also while I was working for my employer. I have worked for the government for over 17 and a half years, but I have worked in different agencies. But the main field that I'm actually experiencing is the criminal jurisdiction, but I also have civil experience in the civil jurisdiction, in the tenancy tribunal, in a disputes tribunal. I also was a marriage celebrant, and so I did that for a couple of years before they changed it. I did start out from the top in the court system, where I did work as jury trials depositions. For those that don't know what that is, that mainly dealt with indictable charges or indictable cases involving cases like mine, serious fraud cases, murder cases, sexual violation cases, you name it, all the bad cases that involves us, society. So that's where I started off doing in that role. I case managed the actual cases myself personally. I also did the court taking of each cases. I case managed all the exhibits myself and put it all together for whichever jurisdictions it went to. But indictable cases back then were high court cases. So what in this generation, it would actually be called Category 4. That's what they've got in this new age system. But in the Department of Courts, it was called indictable cases, and which is the serious above serious, very serious cases category. Usually goes to High Court, then it goes through the jury trial processes. But I did mainly the put together of the case and the exhibits. I put the file together for the judges for jury trial. I did have a little bit of experience in the High Courts in regards to that. It was all part of training and learning while I was working for the Department of Courts. So I've got a bit of experience in a bit of everything, because you're always learning. And while I was working and learning, we also had to do modules that was to update our skills according to the laws and the changes that was taking place, which is NZQA qualifications. I was also doing PSA delegate as a PSA. I was a delegate for the courts, so that was another role I did, which meant I liaised a lot with management at that in that time. So I was always really busy. It was a full-on kind of a job. What I did in the court cases was I usually read back the evidence, would take the witnesses would give evidence in a case. And then the witnesses or all the witnesses in the case are put under oath, and then the evidence is given in court. And then me, as the court deputy registrar of the case, had to listen to all of it, real life story of other people's, the witnesses, and then I had to read back the evidence in court. So that was all part of my role. The evidence was taken down by a stenographer back then, and today they are actually recording everything, but back then they had a stenographer who would type everything. They actually call them FTR now, but we had a stenographer in court who would type down every single word that the witnesses says, and that became pure evidence for the court, and then you get to hear all the witnesses and the victims' testimony, and then I had to read every single word back in open court. So that was all my role. So I learned a lot because it was real life case, a real life everything. It wasn't anything like pretending. It wasn't like watching the movies. It was actually real life, listening to other people's, real life tragic incidents happening to them. So that was the environment. Those are all my learning processes, so you can all understand whereabouts I'm coming from. I'm not just blabbering. I'm actually was actually moved and motivated on my heart to do my YouTube channel because I knew that what I was going through personally was very, very, very serious and against my will. And I felt, to actually do what I was doing for evidence and also for my court cases, because now in court everything's technology. So whatever I say on my YouTube channel can be used in my court cases. I am the victim of crime, so when I'm actually talking against the defendants are actually the offender. They're the ones who have broken the law. In the criminal jurisdiction, the victims has first-hand everything because the victims are actually innocent according to the law. So you can't be both. My case is definitely against the Crown. If those who don't know who the Crown is actually the state. Okay, they are the government. So the corporate bodies are being represented by the Crown on behalf of the defendants. Okay, so that is how this new system works, and I'm actually representing myself. Now, the old court system, the judge, for cases like mine, a case like mine has never have so many different people handling it. Like I've had so many people handling my case. They've exploited me as an individual, and they've also exploited my file. I've got no rights. Meaning, heaps of people have case managed it. They've kept me like an open book. So this is the reason why there's home invasion. This is the reason why I've suffered quite a lot. Everything hits the brick wall. It's because I'm being used like an object and other people are stealing my intellectual property. But this is the cause of mixed match evidence in victims' files. It's because I'm going through it personally myself. However, I am pretty competent and confident in my own, the things that I am good at, and because it's all about me, it's actually quite easy for me to put things together. If I didn't make it, if I got murdered or something like that, it means that a criminal barrister or investigator would take over my file, but basically it'd be quite easy for them to just take over my file because I'm the victim doing everything in my case, because it's got to do with myself and it's got to do with my personal property versus everyone else that opposes or what I've gone through secretly. According to the laws in New Zealand, we are allowed to represent ourselves. So my case actually goes way back to 2016 when I first lodged it in the civil jurisdiction. So the laws back then that I was using all comes back to life on this case because I'm still the same person, still going through the system. But how it works in the criminal jurisdictions, unfortunately, all these laws or whatever took place in between to what I'm going through because of the seriousness is that all those laws, judgments, all made, they all get wiped out and start fresh because we're dealing with a human being who's been used for a trafficking ring. So a trafficking in persons case, if you're watching all my YouTube channels, you'll get the benefit of the laws that refers to my case. A trafficking in persons case is 20 years imprisonment. All these laws that I'm talking about are still active. But my case does go back to 2016 when I first lodged my civil case against the doctors or the corporate bodies involved. But however, the evidence in my profile goes back to the first couple of breaches that started where I had a reasonable belief of privacy breaches starting from work to my private life going back to 2006. However, as time had gone on, while I was going through my own private life and professional life, minding my own business as a victim, and what I can recollect of what I went through during the time while I was working for my employer, minding my own business like any normal civilian. I knew that there something wasn't right. I was being stalked 24/7 from work and when I left home, and it never stopped. And then I know every single thing that how they've gotten hold of my, of what I've gone through, the trickery, the thievery, what they're doing. But they've actually glued me historically. I don't know what they're telling everybody else, why everyone is all going along with it, but nothing, what they have done to me, there's nothing in law that actually supports the government to do what they've done to any individual. There's nothing in law in place unless the person has consented to it. That's a different story. But as you can all tell just from the way I talk, I'm pretty, I have a soundness of mind. I'm actually competent and quite intelligent in my own way. I say all these things humbly, but it is the case. It's the truth. Some of my video clips, you can feel that, I feel I'm upset because I am the victim. Reliving the incidents is quite traumatizing. So all that's expected. Other times you can tell I'm actually the aggrieved victim. So if you don't know what a aggrieved victim is, it's the person that is the gross injustice has taken place on the individual, and there has been no justice at all. By law, the government should actually compensate people so they can actually protect themselves and do what they can to get themselves out of it. But they've left me. Basically, I have felt like I've been trapped and enslaved, and everything I'm doing, people are stealing. So, after years and years and years and years of abuse, when I didn't really, I'm not kind of a person who swears or anything like that after the fact. I did. I realized I didn't even know what I was going through. All I knew it was horrific, but I can actually identify it as me being the aggrieved victim going through the mental repercussions of the abuses that has happened to me historically. So it's mental injury, mental anguish, and the way I've reacted, when people abuse me indirectly, or something happens, just triggers it, and I get angry, and I get I've been swearing. That's been my terrible weakness. But that is what I have struggled with, and that is what it is. But it is from the constant mental abuse, and the fact that I've had to do all my court cases all by myself, only for it to be sabotage or somebody stealing it. Okay, so they've basically stolen somebody's life. That's the best way I can describe it. So this is what trafficking in persons are doing from a victim's point of view. They're actually making money out of somebody else's suffering, okay? And they are gradually stealing, and they are using animation or inanimate of an individual's life without their permission. But this is the reason why the stalking takes place and everything else in public that I've gone through. So what they're actually doing, and the best way to describe it is like an orange juice, okay? They're sucking the life out of all the goodness of the individual out. That's the illegal scientific experiment I've been subject to without consent. It is 100% 100% illegal. And I just know I'm not the first person. I believe Henry Cavill's gone through the same thing. And that, yeah, honestly, I just know that we were meant to meet. Okay, so I'm denouncing all the public deception, and everything's intentional as a cover-up. But the people that are actually at risk are actually that individuals. Why? Because they're worth a lot of money. Okay, so other people are pretending and benefiting out of somebody else's hard work, somebody else's energy, somebody else's intelligence, and somebody else is making money out of it or living off their life as if they're the real people, but they're actually committing fraud unless that person has actually signed over a power of attorney, or the person is, mentally incapacitated, where, they need the state to take over. Unfortunately, there's nothing in law to allow anyone to do what I'm doing to me, not even the state, not even on Henry Cavill. Henry's not on any contract with anybody before he got sick, and Natalie Vasquiso, they are not even in a real relationship. There's nothing legally binding that makes her his partner or anything. Everything was just for show, and unfortunately, from a legal perspective, she's broken the law, and it just looks like they're just all, trying to steal somebody's life, and or whatever he is worth without his permission. But they do use people's families, guys, okay? That they've done it to me. My family's affected in this, but they are the victims. Like, our family members are actually the victims. Some of them participate without even knowing the heck is really going on, okay? And then it can backfire. But they are using imposters, lookalikes, people that look like them. And recently there's been a lot of things floating out in social media. That is not the real Henry Cavill. I can confirm that, okay? That is not the real Henry Cavill. And he's just a lookalike, and it's just Natalie and them just the rich man trying to save their reputation, and that is what all this is all about. Okay, so keep in mind, espionage is definitely 100% in place. So it's a global game. I've known that I've been subject to something global for a very long time because of the sound effects. The signs were there. The police not intervening, hanging up. Everyone was participating. But it's definitely a global game, which makes it more serious, because a global game means innocent civilians in their own home here in New Zealand can be personally attacked. I mean, the game is so bad, I can just listen to the radio, and they're actually letting everyone know that I'm locked out. Okay, so I've been actually locked out while I was working for my employer. And who am I locked out with? I'm locked out from any government protection or whatever they want to call it. They think we're safe, but it's, while they're just watching through they're monitoring whatever it is, somebody is tipping off other people to try and do, steal or do what they're doing secretly, poison people, or, do secret hits, car accidents. That's illegal. Okay. So, I think I am within my rightful place to do this, to help everyone. You can be working in government and this could happen to you, because I'm living evidence of that. But the thing is, when you're locked out, I have found I've been locked out with people who are not mentally well. So people in society that the government should be watching over, they're out loose in public, and people are actually using them or paying them. They're paying drug dealers to do things, and they're watching. And I mean, these people have no supernatural powers. These people, in public, none of them has money or anything like that, but they're just watching by the coding. Okay, so that's my discovery, by the coding of individuals and their family. They've been coded, and that's why they just come out when they do. They know when to come out and set you up or steal off you, so it's a internal and external combination conspiracy, which makes it very, very, very serious and dangerous for victims. It's not even really safe to let your kids just go anywhere these days. I don't recommend it. I mean, I was a single mom, and I'm very, like, my children were my world, and so I worked professionally, and I'm like all about health and safety and everything like that. I'm very cautious about everything, and I think I did pretty well as a parent on my own, but from my own personal experience with the way the system is, it's not safe anymore just to let your kids just walk to school these days, especially with all this going on. Okay, at least teach your children about the bad cop, good cop scenario, because just because somebody has a degree, just because somebody's in a uniform or has a powerful job, it does not mean that they are honest. Okay, also just teaching your kids about stranger danger. I was taught that as a child, stranger danger. All these things help the kids be aware for themselves. A lot of things I learned from life's journey, and also from school. And like, for example, when I was in school, I thought that human beings were created from apes, and that was until I actually went to church and realized, no, that's not how people were created on earth, where actually there was a God. And that's how I learned, was because I went to church and learned about God. So I'm just kind of like just putting in those little extra tips for your own family. And I have found the danger of separation and not mixing. Diversity is important. Like, it's better to mix than to do what they're doing now, because this is the kind of thing that happens. Unfortunately, we all need each other. Everybody needs each other, and no one is better than anyone, but we've all got something to offer each other. So you need balance, is what I'm trying to say. So, the rich man can have all his money, but little do they know they can be easily targeted by other people, and they won't, they don't know the signs or the red flags, or even just how to solve problems, just simple ones, because they rely on their money for everything. But I've actually seen this system take down some other people who had money and that. So so I hope my YouTube channel benefits all of you. I think it will, especially if you're into health, safety and awareness, because this system, I hate it. Okay, that's my personal experience because of the public welfare, public safety. It's all about protecting the rich man's money. There's no balance. So it's actually really dangerous. That's all I can say. It's very, very, very dangerous. So by law, I'm the original. Okay, so I'm basically everything on my YouTube is my personal existence on Earth. So by law, I have the right to in the Protection of Personal and Property Rights Act 1988. So this is what I'm talking about. No one can actually sue me because I'm actually the victim. You can try, but by law, you can't actually challenge something if it's true. Even if the defendants have used the law to suppress and protect their protect their rights, I'm the victim. So they've offended me, but they can't actually do anything about it. Because I'm the victim, I'm within my right to expose their wrongdoing and what they've done to me until the actual, everything is made right correctly, legally. But by law, they can't actually do anything, because what I'm talking about is actually a real life criminal case, and I'm the victim explaining the incidents in the moment in my own words. All right, I better get on to my topic. Today I wanted to talk about the PSA, right? So I felt I needed to talk about this because I'm waiting on an order for that. Anything can happen at any point of time. Quite clearly that I've been so private for so long, but everything never seems to get ahead, or I can't seem to get out of what I'm going through, is because what I'm going through now hasn't changed since I lost my privacy. So what I'm going to go on about in regards to PSA, all this is actually already an exhibit in the courts, all right? So this here is, I'm going to just play it. This here is an exhibit that is a recording in the courts. Okay, so I'll play it for a while, because this exhibit is an exhibit for all the court cases, because, you know, it's proof. It's to do with the Ministry of Health, PSA, and the Ministry of Ministry of Justice lawyer, has to do with PSA and Tony Fisher, who was the general manager. And if you've been following me, this here is them talking on this clip. Okay, so Glen Cooper is also the PSA organiser, and this is actually his voice. So these are the voices of the people that there is legal documentations of them as the general manager, and also the lawyer, Sean, I'm trying to think of his name. I think Sean Haywood, and also Glen Cooper, who is also the PSA organiser. So currently I've sued the Public Service Association for misrepresenting me and for not doing anything to help me. I've gone to them like twice. Okay, so for whatever reason they chose not to intervene legally or take me out of the situation I was in, they have broken the law. So I've actually sued them for what the law says that it's worth $10 million, and I've also sued them. I want all my fees back, because I'm very devastated by what they have put me through, and because they have perverted the course of justice and they refuse to investigate. There is no reason why they shouldn't have. There was no reason for them not to investigate. So I have sued the Ministry of the PSA, who is now the Crown representing them. So just for those that don't understand, the other people that twice I went to PSA. 2010 I went to PSA. I had a meeting with the managements back then. And Chris West, who was also the HR human resources at the time, senior human resources, I think that is his job title. So he was at a meeting when I had it with Dan Brady, and I brought up the protected disclosure, but at that point in time it was Kevin McGorry who represented me. Now, there were other CEOs involved with PSA that were well aware of what I've gone through. There were other witnesses that I went to while I was working for my employer with my problems, the car accidents, but at that point in time, with my set of circumstances, the people that should have represented me was PSA, okay? There's no reason for them not to actually investigate. However, I've done my own personal investigation into everything. They have dug up everything about myself, and I've noticed that, and I've actually got all that as an exhibit, because I didn't even know that they found out that I'm from that I wasn't born from New Zealand. So this is where all the immigration thing coming in. So they've actually unlawfully dug up my past without my permission. That's against the law. Okay, so even though they are an agency, it's actually against the law if they've done it without a warrant, okay? And now, because they've ruined my reputation, they've done nothing for me, and then criminal investigations taken place, and it's my file, I can actually say they've broken the law because I haven't given them permission. And I actually put that in the exhibits in court in regards to that, because I had intentions of pressing criminal charges against those people who dug up everything about me to do with my, with how I came to New Zealand, blah, 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 because I can prove legally by law I haven't broken any law about how I got to New Zealand or anything like that, okay? They have nothing substantial. Obviously, they did it to try and find dirt or whatever reason. But at that point of time when they did their investigation, I hadn't done anything suspicious to initiate an investigation. So you get what I'm saying? Like by law, okay? This is by law. Unless the person has done something criminally wrong, that is the only time you can get a search warrant and then actually go into their profile and do their investigations. But this new system, agencies are just doing it. Okay, people are just doing it. But that's illegal. It's unlawful. Okay, it's still illegal for the very reason of my case, for the very reason of people wanting to take advantage of an individual and then conspire upon other innocent civilians, because they've actually invaded my private life now. So it's home invasion. But according to the laws, after my own personal investigation, those who dug up my past about my past to do with me, I wasn't born in New Zealand, but I did come in New Zealand about, I think, 1975. But legally by law, I haven't broken any law, meaning now I can press criminal charges on internal affairs and all those people who actually did unlawful investigation into my profile without any good reason. All they've done is they've caused invasion, they've retrieved information with no legal rights. So I'm saying everything is accountable, even if you work for the government. If you don't know that, you know that now. I'm not an illegal immigrant. We know people are racist anyway, but they have turned my life into a game, a global game, and this explains where all the racial disharmony, the animation of a innocent civilian, because I'm innocent, okay, they haven't broken any laws whatsoever. They've put my life in danger, my own family in danger, and cause of death of others. Things that's happened in the past that they don't want to dig up. But in a criminal conspiracy crime like mine, these are all the things that are relevant. So if you work for the government, you make sure that you know your laws in regards to people's privacies. No one is entitled to just help themselves. I mean, the system has now turned into like a global thing where agencies are coming from overseas and retrieving. I mean, that's why we have laws, is to stop people from overseas coming here and just taking over our property or taking over somebody's personal life, like what they've done to me, or use me for a relationship scam, which they've done to me historically. Okay, but this video clip is on my YouTube channel. It looks like this. If you want to go there and listen.
Take some notes of our conversation. Look, first of all, thanks for calling in
That's Tony Fisher talking.
Notice. So, Mina, can I know, Glenn, that you've got my letter, but Mina, can I just confirm that you've received my letter dated the 25th of September?
Yes, I've got it in front of me.
Yeah, okay. Look, again, thanks for calling in and participating in the meeting. My letter's self-explanatory, or I hope it's self-explanatory, but I just wanted to go over a couple of things. Firstly, to reiterate the purpose of this meeting. And the purpose of the meeting is to consider the possibility of suspending you, Mina, from your employment on full pay until the current investigation has been completed. So I just want to emphasise that this is not a meeting to determine the outcome or make decisions on the investigation itself. It's a meeting to consider the possibility of suspending you on full pay from your work until the investigation has been completed. In my letter, I've set out in some detail.
Okay, I'm just going to forward it. So if you want to listen to this whole, you can actually listen to it, but I just wanted just to forward it a bit. It's on my YouTube channel, and this here is actually an exhibit. I'll just keep an eye on the time. This is actually an exhibit in court right now. And the date of this meeting was actually on the 29th of September 2015. Okay, so it was just a meeting initiated by management. I didn't know about the actual meeting until the actual day. And before we actually went into the meeting, Glen Cooper, actually, first time I heard of it, that he let me know that they may be thinking of terminating my employment, under mental incapacity. I wasn't happy about it. Okay, he told me this outside the door, and that was the first time he let me know about it, and I wasn't happy about it. I didn't even know what the meeting was for. I just went along with it. But he did tell me this outside the door, and I thought, right. And then I quickly just said to him, but I put in a protected disclosure. I just quickly referred to that. He didn't, I don't know, he didn't really say much about it, but I just said, I wasn't happy. I told him, I felt straight away that the ministry was setting me up, or somebody was setting me up. So I said to him that I wasn't going to have any meeting unless the meeting was actually recorded. And so I was quite adamant about that. So that's a good tip for those, any meetings that you have to have with your employer or any business meeting, I recommend you record it for your own self. But the one thing I didn't like about this meeting was because they didn't let me know in advance what it was about. They didn't tell me until I was actually sitting outside the door. And when he actually told me, Glen Cooper, the PSA Organiser, told me that that the ministry was thinking of medically terminating me under mental capacity, I knew that they were setting me out. I just knew. And with that, I said, well, I want it recorded. If they weren't going to record it, I wasn't going to be in the meeting. I was going to walk out. But I went in there, and they gave permission. So this here recording is legal. So just for those that do secret recording, you're actually breaking the law. You can actually be charged for privacy breaches if you get caught. Even if the person dies, it can still backfire according to the criminal laws, depending what it is. And from what I also know, criminal judges, they don't like hearsay evidence. They don't like anything that's been secretly recorded. I know every country is different, but that hasn't changed here in New Zealand. So, for those that do the secret recording, you can actually be charged for participating in privacy breaches and for conspiracy, because my case is now a conspiracy case.
Turn to work while the investigation is still underway and hasn't got to.
I'm just trying to forward it because.
Well, they're at an advanced stage. So the interviews have been completed. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is Glen Cooper.
Okay, my apologies if I've added to that confusion. I think
he's the PSA
we
delegate.
did have a conversation, or I had a conversation with Carl and possibly with Dan around.
So he's talking about Carl Lewin. He's the guy who did the investigation. And then we've got Dan Brady. He was the service manager. Okay, he's the one who did the final signature to dismiss me. But can you just tell what they're doing here? For me personally, what they did to me was very serious. They had different people for different things all the time, and this is consistent with how they've handled my court cases, with how even with WINS, how all the other corporate bodies, they've used different people at the counter, they've used different people to manage me. Then I get people overseas Okay, people overseas retrieving or receiving my phone call in Philippines. I mean, this is how they've treated me, but you can just tell by how the ministry is doing the investigation on me now. So they've got Carl Lewins doing the report, writing the report and the investigation. Then we've got, there we've got a barrister on the side. You'll hear his voice soon. Then we've got Tony Fisher, and then we've, what else? And then we've got Dan Brady doing something different. So what's happening in this whole scenario system that they've done to me, they have used different people for different things all the time. So of course, really by rights and by law and common sense, really, okay, and respect of the individual. As you can tell by my face, I'm a bit annoyed because I am. By my voice, I'm annoyed because I am. I'm really annoyed with what they've done to me. And I believe they should be charged according to the law. But you can just tell by how the system is and what they've done to me historically, that they've exploited me. So they've got different people doing this, different people doing that, different people doing this and that. And that is what they have done to me. Okay, that's illegal. Common sense is when a person, like the old system, when a judge actually has a case like mine involving mental health, competent criminal judges, okay, this is what they did when I used to take those court cases. And I know a lot about mental health because I've taken mental health cases. To put me in that caliber is an insult. It's an insult to me as a woman. It's an insult to my intelligence. It's an insult to who I am for my culture. It's all being a racist, discrimination project, illegal project by, many racist people put together. But I hope you can understand where I'm coming from, but I need to elaborate, I believe, on what they did to me so it doesn't happen to another person, or at least give other people the opportunity to protect themselves. But common sense is, if you're going to get different people doing this, different people doing that, different people monitoring, of course they're going to take the opportunity to code people and do what they've done. It's just common sense. Why would they care about another human being they know nothing about? All right. But this is what they've done. But the old Department of Courts, competent criminal judges would never, get a file like mine and then have different people handling it. Okay. I think there's like 18 judges in my case. It's actually more. I haven't even added in the judges that was at the judiciary review. So that's awfully a lot of judges, okay? And then all these people, they have their own private family and their own private everything. And then they're using me like a product to promote everybody, and it's global. It's ridiculous. And it is a sport too. But in the last, like going back to what I was meant to say, is that a criminal lawyer or criminal judge would never do what they've done to me. Never, ever, never. Because they just need to look at the file and see lots of breaches. They can tell it's perjury. They can tell it's internal. And they would never mess around with it. And common sense, you've got to keep the file with one judge, okay? But they've used different registrars, different everybody, different people serving me. I asked them and they talk to me like they don't know anything, and then they make me repeat myself. And so, but this has been going on this case has been going on since 2016. And in the meantime, they have actually stolen heaps of things from me and used me for relationship scams. And get this, I apply for, even when I apply for things, they put me at the back of the list because they already know who I am and I know exactly the state behind it, okay? I don't care about your reputation. Believe you me, it's going to go public. I find this game insulting. I'll carry on.
The problems and continuing for Mina to be off, continuing to be off.
So that's Glen Cooper. But I just suggest listen to this to yourself because I don't want to make this video clip too long. Okay, and then I'll carry on because
provided
meeting between, I imagine.
That's the Ministry of Justice lawyer, right? He's in the background. Okay, he's telling Tony Fisher what to do. Now, keep in mind, Tony Fisher, he knew about the protected disclosure. In between this video clip, I'm ranting and raving about Louise Holloway. I was ranting and raving about the problems I was having, at work, and no one did nothing about it back in 2010. They just left me in there. That's what they did. They left me in there and did nothing about it. I knew that there were other staff that were scared. Some of them were scared because of their own jobs. They didn't know what to do about it. And then there were others that went along with the bullying because they felt confident in a group, because that's what happens. But the evidence I actually submitted in documentations back in 2010 clearly shows that I was being bullied just by the emails, by the staff bullying me, all in on it. You can just tell by the tone of the emails that the staff were bullying me. They were citing an alliance had gradually grown up, grew while I was working in 2010. So 2010, I also, I got poisoned. I'm adamant on that one. I swear it on the Bible on that one. Can it be investigated, found out to be true? Oh, yes, it can. 100%. I can prove it, okay? Even if people have died, I can still prove it. And the Ministry of Health knew about it. So they all knew, because they all did some kind of a illegal experiment on me while I was working. Okay, so I just felt on my heart to actually talk about this. So in hindsight, Dan Brady is actually, he walked into a conspiracy. I tried to warn him in between while I was working. But yeah, there was a bit of a, they turned it into like a relationship scam thing. And don't forget, the Moana gang linking to my church. There are other things I haven't mentioned yet. I'm waiting on God whether I should actually mention the hardcore evidence around that female. She is Croatian. Okay, and I can verify that if the investigators went to all the places on my bank account where I went and shopping or wherever, those people were in my space doing their indirect, coming out with toilet papers, disrespecting me, treating me invisible, but they were actually, it's assault and battery. Okay, when people in your environment are doing or behaving like that, and you don't know why, and using sound effects, threatening sound effects when you walk past, like a knife on a cardboard, acting Angus, bending over, just being rude, it's assault and battery. Okay, it's equivalent to if a gang was in your space, want to beat you up. It's the same kind of element. I'm talking about the hostel and everything. So corporate bodies under the camera, an investigation can retrieve, a government agency or the honest people can actually retrieve all those places I've gone under the camera, and they can actually detect and you can actually just tell from the camera if things are being staged or natural. Okay, but that is my personal experience going back to 2010, going back to when I was working at Ministry of Justice. I used to go to Pack and Save in Autumn Drive a lot, and that used to happen in there. These people were studying me so much so, the intimacies, they were studying the things I like and the things I don't dislike. So when I go to the shop, the things I like is not there. But that's how serious the cloning and the studying of an individual. But this is my personal experience. So I think I'll leave it there with that clip. But I go on my YouTube channel. It's there. This is actually there twice. There is a part of this video clip where the general manager actually said to me to suck eggs. That came out, and I think he must have forgotten that I've actually was recording, but I did get their permission to record it. Otherwise I wouldn't have stayed in there. I would have left, and I'm glad I did what I did. But this here is actually an exhibit in the criminal courts for my files for PSA and also for the Ministry of Health. Just bear with me. I just felt that I needed to kind of like, there's definitely an affidavit of, well, this here was sworn, because remember I said that they wouldn't swear some of them they refused to, but the ministry can actually be charged for misleading me and refusing to sign my interlocutory application, because they should have. It's quite clear that this here was an intention. This is for the Ministry of Justice file. I asked to enter a summary judgment of liability. So this here was actually sworn. But the file so this is sworn. So that can actually be done. But I've already talked about the Ministry of Justice file. But the one I'm talking about today is this one here, an affidavit of service. I've actually deleted the name of the witness, okay? So this person here did an affidavit of support to enter summary judgment on liability. So this here was in support of that summary judgment. This was actually for the case for the Ministry of Justice. But this here was actually also in the PSA. So this here was a witness. Okay, so an affidavit was also sworn in here. Okay, so there was an affidavit of support. So what I'm trying to say is that there was definitely evidence in there. Just hang on a moment. Okay, there was an affidavit of in support, like a witness, and that was for the Ministry of Justice and also for the Ministry of Health, and also for PSA, just a witness that I took with me to some of the things that I was going through. So that affidavit was in there. So even though that they were actually just facts, what would have happened is, because in the beginning I did ask the judge for it to go, like when it was in 2016, I wanted it to go to criminal because they weren't making it easy for me. They wanted to keep it at the civil, and it was quite clear to me that they didn't want to settle, and that I was I was actually dealing with white collar crimes. So the affidavit service, my witness was a witness to some of the meetings I had with the Ministry of Justice and even with a Public Service Association. Although everything else were just facts, I did in the beginning I asked it for it to be transferred to the criminal jurisdiction, and that I actually wanted to submit a list of witnesses, because that's what happens, because I'm entitled to do all that. So that's actually what happened. Okay, so just keep in mind that the game is global, and my profile clearly articulates that I've been subject to human trafficking by force globally. Okay, this is where my one comes in, it's just, I feel it was just several white supremacists, extremists, and other cultures and other religions and other countries just taking advantage of an innocent civilian. Okay, they saw the advantage to use somebody for a pecuniary advantage and for a sport-like game. That is what they've used me for historically, but it is definitely a trafficking in persons case, and they have locked me out. But the evidence also clearly shows, without a shadow of doubt, that I was actually locked out while I was working for my employer, right? Because nothing much has changed, even though it is getting better. And it is a category 4, but all the danger about it is that all the victims are in danger because they've all just joined forces globally. Okay, so that is the reality of this new age system. And then the other problem I have found is because when I actually, send my emails, because I'm actually feel like I'm locked out, and I do. So, they're listening to everything I'm saying and doing, blah, blah, blah. But when you send your emails, to agencies for stuff, and like, they already know who you are. I have found half of the time the people that are in my space are these women. Been Natalie Vasquiso's gang, and the people linked to her in my court cases, and then Amy Denton's gang, and then Echo's gang, and then they've all joined forces, and then they're all inciting the same thing. I mean, that is so dangerous. I shouldn't be alive today. That I know that without a shadow of doubt, but I am, and I know that I am supposed to be doing what I'm doing. But yeah, the system is really serious, is really, really dangerous. So at the moment, I'm just taking one day at a time and just going with it. So it does cause division. Quite clearly, I am a trafficking victim and a left behind case. So the other issues I have found is that my family, because they don't, like all the things I've said, they've used the Mental Health Act on me so that nobody believes me. So everything's intentional. Everything is definitely a conspiracy. So yeah, that is what the evidence shows. And at the moment, I'm just waiting for a response from two cases. At the moment, I'm going through quite a few changes, and I'll just keep the evidence in the moment, and I will continue to denounce Natalie Vasquiso and her public, tactic to deceive the public. But it's quite, I just feel like God has taken me around in circle, but he's actually guiding me to the actual problem of this situation and who is actually behind it. That is why I feel, I feel like, God's taken me through all this journey, all this time, and then actually pointing the finger and stopping at the root of the problem, which is the Crown, unfortunately. I don't even know how the court system actually works. But, I know that everyone means well, but the problem is it's the in-between, corporate bodies and other cultures and other religions are taking advantage of innocent civilians and are actually stealing off them and wanting to be, superior, but they are breaking the law. They are doing their own thing. But if you watch my other video clips, I've gone through a list of, the people that can be made accountable for cases like mine. So, even though they've stood down, they can still be made accountable according to law in the criminal jurisdiction after the fact. Okay.